All right, well, first of all, thank you for joining us today for a little discussion on DD and RC. But why don't you explain who you are and what levels you've taught at?
I'm Sherry Canute, and I've taught at the elementary level, grades fourth grade, RC, and middle school coach, so experience with DD.
And I'm Amy Kais, and I've taught elementary K-5 and 7th, 8th language arts.
Super. So we're going to throw some questions at you about both programs and give us your honest opinion about it. First of all, what do you see is the biggest benefit of each program?
I think in my classroom, speaking from the RC standpoint and what I see DD allowing or bringing into the classroom here is the family dynamics that you create with your class, that positive environment where they feel like they are members of a family because they've created rules in the classroom, the rules are consistent, and they just feel like they're part of a group.
I agree, and I think both programs allow you to kind of create an opportunity for kids to feel safe and build their community, get to know each other in a way that they might not get to know each other if they were just going through their day.
Yeah, I've heard before that kids kind of have another level of respect for those kids that are in their morning meeting or their CPR. Is that correct?
It is correct, and both programs build in, speaking of what Amy said about feeling safe, in that CPR or that morning meeting, the level of activities that you do or the level of sharing that you do builds from being very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Very basic.
Basic to where they're feeling more part of a family and they're able to share more deeply about themselves, but once they get to that point with each other, yeah, they do feel a whole different level with that group of kids.
Well, the programs are supposed to be very, very, very similar. But I guess I'd rather hear, how do you see them being different, or even implementation-wise, how do you see them different at the two levels?
I think the foundation of both programs is very similar. I think the biggest difference that I hear is mostly in the teacher language for what we kind of categorize the different elements and philosophies would be a difference. I also see in developmental designs the importance of having building-wide investment because you share kids throughout the day with many different teachers, that the philosophy needs to be implemented building-wide for the program to feel really effective.
Yeah, when does it start to go sideways, do you think? When does it start to go poorly in the middle school with the developmental designs?
I think the procedural pieces of things like take a break, take a break out of the classroom, tab out, those are two big areas right away in implementation that if there's not consistency in what the purpose is and how teachers utilize them, that kind of derails some things right away. I think in terms of teacher language and using that empowering language for kids, noticing things about what they're doing instead of praising or reprimanding, and then even just building a community within the classroom and how kids talk to each other. I think those pieces are really important for keeping it on track.
And I also think if a building is implementing it, then during CPR time, everybody needs to be doing CPR format, not letting kids come in and just have a free-for-all study hall, because then that word gets out to other kids. And even though they enjoy their CPR, it's just inconsistent, and that doesn't feel good to them.
So it sounds like when it's done with integrity, it's great, and when it's not, that's when it kind of falls apart a little bit. Okay. Last thing, you've done it at RC at the elementary level, and you've done DD at the middle school level. Would you recommend it?
Absolutely, hands down, yeah.
I think it's changed completely how I teach, and it's a process. I think it's taken, I haven't taken years for the whole kind of transformation, and I'm still transforming every day, kind of